welcome to this Saturday, October 21st edition of This Week in Plymouth. I'm your host, Dan Salzer. The Plymouth Village Water and Sewer Commissioners met this past Tuesday, during which Superintendent Jason Randall gave some important updates to the board about the downtown construction, and that PSU will be joining in on the project as well.
All right, and then we are also continuing to work the Force Main 4 project easements. We've received comments back on 2 proposed easements so far from the high school and from Alex Ray development over here along the Baker River. And the Plymouth State University will be hearing or reviewing the draft easement this month. We're hoping to get that project up and going sometime late this fall as well. And that would round out our final rural development project on the sewer side of things, and we'll be able to close the loan on the sewer loan for our rural development. Happy to report that PSU is moving forward with the repair of their sewer force main under the Penny River. They secured a contractor over the last 2 weeks, and that project should wrap up before this winter as well. And at this point, we've all but wrapped up the water work within Main Street. There is some spot sewer work to still finish up, but that'll be, and then it will be the springtime. We'll be coming through with the final paving of everything from the Rotary south. From the Rotary north, the final paving will happen within the next week or so.
Following Jason's report, the commissioners turned their attention to the ongoing issue at 89 Fairgrounds Road, which happened to belong to fellow Commissioner Tom McLaughlin. McLaughlin was not present for the meeting, but he did provide the board with a list of findings of fact about the water and sewer on his property, which the board discussed.
Which brings us up lastly to 89 Fairgrounds Road, ongoing discussion. 89 Fairgrounds Road, owned by Tom McLaughlin, who left us a document that I will read, entitled Findings of Fact for 89 Fairgrounds Road. Number 4, then it was discovered that the old system consisted of some asbestos-containing materials. The district had just paid contractors $90 a foot for the landfill, plus removal and precautions for this type of material and work downtown. I dispute that fact. I'm going to continue reading, but I can show that Mr. McLaughlin knew in 2020, before he installed his new connection, that he knew that asbestos was already there. Number 7, the first time on August 15th, the commissioners confronted the applicant and they just demonstrated that they felt wronged by the applicant. I disagree with this. The applicant was surprised because he'd been actively dealing with this complicated issue for over a year with the superintendent and had sent a letter outlining the issues just the prior day. I don't know about that, but I can say that he signed a letter, which I will refer to later, on September 2nd, 2020, where he agreed in great clarity to decommission his old connection. That was supposed to happen within 2 years. It is 3 years and going, which is why we continue to ask him to comply. Number 10, second time on September 15th, agenda of commissioners, applicant showed pictures of the manhole construction and the pipe and fittings ready to be installed the next day. Also attached was a letter by Marilise O'Connor describing the 50-year-old system as grandfathered. I dispute that because the situation changed when you signed a letter stating you were going to discontinue that service. You agreed to it in 2020. Number 12, the applicant wants to maintain his existing system and not be penalized. That is not our intention. The applicant has proposed to shift more of the load to the new system, but would need agreement that they would not be asked to abandon the old system entirely for the above reasons. As previously stated, everything goes back to 2020. Although this issue has been going on since about 2006, the applicant, Tom McLaughlin, signed a letter on September 2nd, 2020, which goes into great detail saying how he had an extension of time to disable the old connection. We have an email from Friday, August 28th, where Jason Randall, disconnection of the existing sewer service at the junction near the cemetery is a requirement of this new construction. Less than an hour later, Tom McLaughlin replied and said, among other things, closing out the old connection is fine. I'd like to remove it, but it's ABS and turns into a problem when it comes out of the ground, quote unquote. So it shows before he signed this letter on September 2nd, he knew about the nature of that pipe, and yet he proceeded to create a new connection, and here we are 3 years later.
Right. Well, originally, the original pipe that was put in there, I believe, was when his father owned the property. He owned all of that property where the building is now,
Right.
and he's the one that connected it originally to the water and sewer system, his father. Okay, but the thing is this, when he sold the property, that created a problem. His system was part of that system, but I'm not sure how much we knew about that system, to be honest with you.
Right.
Now, he was past where the original, where it ended, originally, Tom was.
Right.
So did he put that in legally or illegally? That's a question we don't know. There's no answer to it. But we know that we as a commission don't allow daisy chaining.
I went back and dug through our regulations, Chapter 7, Section 5, subsection A, where we say, the language of it says that each building must have its own sewer and water connection. So there's two separate issues here.
Right.
There's that, following the regulations, that we don't allow, that every building needs its own unique connection. And secondly, by signing this letter, September 2020, he agreed that by constructing the new connection, a prerequisite of that he had to, within 2 years, discontinue. Now, Tom has submitted on a number of occasions suggesting that we are asking him to dig up the original connection. That is not the case.
No.
It's not. All we're asking is that he cut the line and put concrete in. If any person in such a situation was not complying with this, we would do what we would do for anyone, whether they didn't pay their bill or whatnot, and that would be, we would disconnect their service. I'm sorry that it has come to this. I don't feel like we're being unreasonable in any way here. I would be remiss in not doing my job if I did anything differently.
I fully concur with what you just said.
I feel comfortable in motioning that we notify owners of 89 Fairgrounds Road that they have 60 days to, as we say here, the old service must be discontinued, disconnected, abandoned, and capped with concrete to the satisfaction of the district administrator. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The planning board met this past Thursday at 6:30 p.m. in the meeting room at Town Hall. The board received 2 applications for boundary line adjustments, both of which were granted, as well as a site plan review for a new storage facility.
Next up, we have a site plan review for this same parcel, Slater Holdings LLC, self-storage facility, an application for site plan review from Horizons Engineering on behalf of property owner Slater Holdings LLC to develop a self-storage facility with an office and associated site improvements on parcel 208076, located on Hutchins Road, Fairgrounds Road.
Once again, Chris Woods, 157 Fairgrounds, and I own the property across the way at 162. So we've heard that the property drains to the south, and big concern of mine in that we've got we're generating a fair amount of impervious surface here. We're potentially really impacted by any water that runs off of this property. It comes down through a swale directly across the street from us, under Fairgrounds Road, right onto our property.
Good evening. Claire Eckert, 157 Fairgrounds Road. And I'm thinking about the fence. I know that you say you won't see this much, but when all the trees went away, we can now see through through that band of trees that's left, and we can see back in there. And I would love to have an 8-foot fence, because then I won't see as much of it.
I hear all of the concerns 100%, and I appreciate you guys bringing it to my attention. Often on these times, you might overlook some things, but you are correct about the lights, and you are correct about the sounds that you mentioned. These are very good points. If you'd allow me to revisit there to just reconsider, I'd appreciate it.
So it sounds like we're moving towards a continuation of this hearing.
I'd like to make a motion to continue this hearing to November 16th.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Third.
Thank you, Phil. Further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Planning Board Chair John Christ also reminded the public of the upcoming community meeting for housing in Plymouth, scheduled for Wednesday, October 25th at 6:30 p.m. in the Bobcat Cafe at the high school. It's important that the public attend to provide their input on the housing in town, and we here at PBTV will be providing live coverage on channel 1301 of the presentation side and full coverage of the event live on YouTube. Looking at this week's announcements, the New Hampshire PBS show Our Hometown is making its way to Plymouth. In the award-winning series hosted by Rebecca Rule, close to a dozen towns have already been aired where residents share their stories and explore their town's unique culture, commerce, history, and people. If you have any stories that you would like to share, be sure to send an email to hometown@nhpbs.org. The town is currently auctioning off property at 34 Fairgrounds Road. The description on the town website reads as, nestled in the heart of Plymouth, New Hampshire, a remarkable real estate opportunity awaits a potential buyer. The property at 34 Fairgrounds Road, identified by tax map number 209-18, offers a generous 1.40 acre lot that boasts partial mountain views and conveniently located near downtown Plymouth. Be sure to head over to the website to get the full details on the property. The downtown construction outlook for next week of the 23rd of October is now available to read on the town website. Be sure to head over to plymouth-nh.org to get the full details on where this construction will be next week. With Halloween only a few weeks away, the town announced the trick-or-treating hours for this fall season. Main Street businesses will start at 4:30 p.m. on the 31st, with the residential area starting at 5:30 and going until 7 o'clock. There will also be a haunted house at the Pemmy Youth Center, with a toned-down version available for pre-K through 5th graders from 4:30 to 5 o'clock, and a spookier version for kids 6th grade and older is available at 5:30 the same evening. The Plymouth Police Department has hired a new full-time police officer. The community would like to welcome Rachel Collins, who was sworn in by the town clerk this past Wednesday. The police department will also be hosting Coffee with a Cop event this upcoming Tuesday, the 24th, from 8 to 10 a.m. at Cafe Monte Alto. The Recreation Department is now offering a basketball program to both residents and non-residents of Plymouth. There are limited spots available, so be sure to head over to the Recreation Department Facebook page or their website to get more information and how to sign up. In an effort to keep the public informed on events and trips, the Recreation Department has set up a newsletter through the Remind app. There are 2 separate groups for residents and non-residents to join. If you're interested, follow the information on your screen on how to sign up. A reminder that Pease Public Library is holding a pumpkin carving event this upcoming Wednesday, the 25th. Registration is required, so head over to the library website to sign up today. Now time to take a look at PRHS sports once again. The volleyball team closed out its season last night at home against Kennett on senior night. The Bobcats took the first meeting of the season between the two teams 3-0 up in North Conway. Girls soccer team battled to the final whistle on Thursday afternoon in its season finale against Co-Brown, falling on senior day 6-0 to close out the year. Cross country wrapped up its regular season this past Tuesday at Hollis Brookline. The Bobcats now prepare for the NHIAA Division II Championships taking place next Saturday the 28th at Dairyfield Park. Boys soccer wrapped up its regular season yesterday afternoon against Co-Brown Northwood Academy at home on senior day. The Bobcats will find out this weekend who their opponent will be and where they'll be traveling for the first round of the NHIAA Division II tournament. That will take place on Tuesday, October 24th. PBTV is planning on bringing live coverage of the game from wherever the Bobcats will play. After a dominant win in the second annual Greyout game last Friday night at home against Kennett, the Bobcat football team traveled to St. Thomas Aquinas last night in a battle of two of the top teams in the East Conference of Division II. The Bobcats will wrap up the regular season next Saturday afternoon at home against Sanborn. Plymouth is looking to secure the number 2 seed for next month's Division II playoffs. Lastly, congratulations to Johnny Flaherty and Sebastian Eisenbarth, both from the golf team who represented Plymouth at the Division III championships at Sagamore Hampton Golf Club for the first round back on October 12th. Flaherty finished the day plus 13 and tied for 9th to make the cut. Eisenbarth finished tied for 36 at 27 over par. Flaherty finished tied for 8th after the final round at Beaver Meadow in Concord after shooting 15 over par to finish the championship at plus 28. The Bobcats did not qualify for the team championship, but congratulations to all the Bobcats on a great season. And congratulations to all the seniors competing in their senior games. Thank you for all of your contributions to your programs over your careers. Reminder, you can watch full replays of our coverage of Bobcat sports here on our YouTube channel and throughout the week on channel 1302. Looking into the next week, the Select Board will be meeting on the 23rd at 5:30 p.m., their first meeting since having to cancel back on the 10th. Both the Budget and CIP committees will be meeting on the 24th in the Town Hall meeting room at 12:30 and 2:30 respectively. And the Planning Board will be hosting that community meeting for the housing in Plymouth at 6:30 on the 25th from the Bobcat Cafe at the high school. Thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of This Week in Plymouth. Reminder that you can watch full replays of town meetings, high school sports, and other original content on our YouTube channel and also here on channels 1301 and 1302. A reminder to visit the town website and social media pages to stay up to date on everything happening in the town. For our executive producer, Jonathan Picard, I'm Dan Sulzer. Join us next weekend for another episode of This Week in Plymouth.